Reddit, what's a weird habit of yours you didn't think was weird until someone mentioned it? Shared a hotel with a buddy during a trip and he told me I sleep like I'm embalmed. Arms crossed. On my back. Stiff as a board. I sniff every cup before I use it. Don't know why. Burrowing in my sleep as well. I have to have my head covered for me to be comfortable. Didn't think it was weird until a college roommate pointed out that he always could tell when I was going to sleep because I just put my pillow or my covers over my head beforehand. I've had people come into my room when I'm asleep and thought nobody was there, so I guess it's a nice defense mechanism against predators. Eating kiwi fruit with its skin until I saw my friends eating without its skin, then I turned on the incognito mode and searched how to eat kiwi. If I bump an object into a wall or a table etc. I say ouch for that object. Not sure when I began doing it, and obviously I know my toothbrush didn't feel pain when I hit the faucet with its head, but I can't stop myself from saying ouch on the toothbrush's behalf. I sometimes use my tongue like a CD slot when eating chips. Didn't even realize I was doing this until my friend suddenly burst out laughing while we were hanging out. When I was 12, I used to suck in and bite the insides of my cheeks. A teacher at school saw it and copied me as a joke. I saw how stupid it looked and never did it since. Edit. One of my favorite snacks growing up was cold canned green beans. My mom would just open the can and hand me a fork. I continued eating them like that until my sophomore year of university, when my roommates just stared at me and pointed out how strange it was. I just thought that was the only way to eat green beans. I consume everything quickly. I never really gave it any thought until I was having dinner with a friend and he told me I ate like someone that just got out of prison or boot camp. One day I was taking a shower with my wife and I discover that she washes her underpants in the shower and uses the newly washed underpants as sponge to help to clean her body. I said WTF. And she said that her mom taught her to do that. And just like that I found that females on her family have this weird shower tradition. Edit. Bad grammar. Edit 2. For those asking. My wife is Hispanic. Cleaning undies in the shower, sure. They actually suggest you do this with bras because they're so delicate. Using it as a sponge? Iced tea nude. Also rarely use public toilets. Edit. No, I don't strip down in public. My siblings pointed it out when I was a teen. My ex-boyfriend could only sh-tea nude. Literally the only way he could sh-tea. I shake milk jugs before pouring a glass or over cereal. I was raised on a dairy farm, so it was necessary with fresh milk. Was about 30 before someone asked why, and I had to think for a minute before I realized I didn't need to with store-bought milk. Anytime I hear something mundane doing a rhythm or tone, like a coin falling, or someone coughing, I just repeat it whistling. My girlfriend thought it was weird how often I change the volume while watching TV. I never thought it was weird, but then I realized that I get it from my dad. I do this too. Sometimes I like to hold my balls in my hand and think. I talk to every animal I meet, see in French, my first language. I don't know why I do this. But someone pointed it out when I met their new dog for the first time. In a group conversation I sometimes stay silent for literally 30 minutes and start talking again like nothing. Realized with quarantine. Where I suddenly talk and people get surprised I was still in the voice chat after 30 minutes of not even a word. I have a problem where I just can't interrupt people talking, and also, when they interrupt me, I just instantly stop talking. This can be nice because I don't come across as rude even though I like to talk a lot. But in group conversations, I'm basically always silent because there is always someone talking, obviously. Whenever I touch or bump something, especially on accident, I feel like I have to repeat that action on the same spot on the other half of my body. Now it's getting to the point where my brain just does it without consulting me first. And it's gotten me some weird looks comments. Edit. Whoa. One day, my husband raised his arm to put around me while I was sitting on the couch and I instantly flinched away from him. My brother-in-law was shocked and instantly thought that my husband might be hitting me when nobody was around. We laughed it off because he would never do such a thing. He responded with, "She does it every time. I'm just used to it by now." I didn't even realize that I did it. Mind you, I did come from an abusive childhood, so my reflexes are a little defensive. He also pointed out that I am super jumpy and even the lightest of noises make me do a little freak out. I pat my pillow to fall asleep. Edit. When I was a kid I used to scratch my head so much that I would have bald spots. It wasn't itchy or anything. It just felt like something I needed to do. I'm an adult now and I stopped, but I have no idea why I used to do that. I talk to myself when I cook and people in the kitchen usually think I am talking to them. When I started sleeping with my lady friend she told me I have night terrors. I never knew as I don't often remember my dreams. I can shimmy my glasses from the tip of my nose to the bridge using only face muscles. Everyone thought I had a weird twitch. I like to think I'm just efficient. I sneak up and scare people. Unintentionally. I've been given the nickname Ninja Nate because I move in and out of rooms without being detected. I close doors quietly. I don't hum, whistle, single, or generally talk when I walk through the house. And I walk so silently that no one can hear my footsteps. This has led to repeatedly scaring people who don't hear me coming. Especially when they suddenly turn around or I ask them a question with their back turned to me. I try to get into people's line of sight before approaching them. But inevitably, I will give someone a fright because they didn't see or hear me approaching. Sorry to all my friends and roommates that I've surprised over the years. It's something I've picked during my childhood to avoid being seen or heard because I don't want a verbally abusive parent to shout at me for doing something wrong like waking up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water. I pick at my lips when I'm stressed out. I've done it since I was a kid so my mom always gets mad when she catches me doing it. Lol. I try to use chapstick to break the habit. But I always end up doing it without even realizing. Like if I'm watching a suspenseful movie or texting someone about something urgent anxiety inducing. My voice. When I was working in research, a few of us happened to be chatting with a speech pathologist. Someone suggested that he analyze our speech. When he got to me, he kept asking if I was sick or had allergies that day. Turns out my voice is naturally hyponasal. It sounds like my nose is stuffy all the time. I don't mind it. It's just my voice. But I didn't know anything was unusual about it until that moment. Don't you hate that disconnect? You think your voice is deep and SI. Then you hear recordings and you're just like, dot. I'm a nerd with a speech impediment. FK. When I'm about to drink something I always stick my tongue out a bit. I didn't know I did it until a friend pointed it out. I also sometimes unconsciously stop breathing and when I realize it it's difficult to start breathing again. My cousin woke me up in the middle of the night because she stopped hearing me breathing. When I was a kid, I learned that if you say the ABCs while you hold your Oreo in milk, it's the perfect softness, crispness and doesn't completely fall apart in the milk. To this day, I will whisper the ABCs under my breath. I did this once in front of my ex and he stopped. He stared at me horrified and asked me why I was chanting at my Oreos. I guess he couldn't quite hear what I was whispering to my Oreos and was freaked out that I had some evil Oreo ritual or something. Not my habit. But in high school I had a very dear friend who would throw his phone behind his back, up in the air, and catch it when it fell over his shoulder, without fail. Every single time. It scared the shit out of me. Considering my clumsy old self would definitely have dropped it. He would also randomly deeply inhale with his thumbs at his nose. And also when we'd eat together. Whether it had been at my house or at school. He would save exactly one bite of each item on his plate tray until the end of his meal and then eat those bites. I miss him so much. But we went down different paths and don't talk much anymore. He was the coolest dude I knew. I pick things up off the floor with my toes. I'm too lazy to bend down. I talk to myself, running conversations through my head. A few words will slip out every once in a while. When someone sneezes, I have to say bless you. Even if I hear a sneeze in a public place and I'm not near the person and I know they won't hear it, I still whisper it under my breath. I kinda knew it was weird, but my boyfriend pointed it out when we were out at dinner and I was whispering bless you. Asking permission to go to the toilet. If I'm in someone's house that I'm not used to being in, I'll ask, can I use your bathroom? Or something like that. One day someone decided it would be funny to say no, and that's when my mates found out that I won't go if they say no. I'll just sit back down. To change this behavior, I started saying, where is your bathroom? So it's not a yes or no question. I tap the lid of the can 3 times before I open it when I drink Coke, beer, etc. I have no idea why I do it or even that I was doing until I was at a ring dunk and someone handed me a beer and I tapped it and got asked about the habit. They assumed it was for luck, so I went with that instead of me being a weirdo. I know people who do that because it stops the drink from spurting out when opened. I eat too fast. I can finish the same amount of food my wife eats in half the time it takes her. Others have pointed this out too. I don't think it's weird, but it helped me finish my food quicker while in basic training. I pace a lot. Sometimes I just have to take 5-10 minutes and pop some music in and walk. My sister and her husband stayed over with my family over the holidays and I guess they saw me doing it. They made fun of me for it, like just sort of joking. Not anything too harsh, but I genuinely can't help it. I get very anxious if I can't do it. I don't even need someone to mention it to know it's weird. I talk to myself, but like a conversation with myself. More like a conversation with an imaginary audience. Edit. Not like a conversation with myself. So my inner wrists are really sensitive in a good feeling way. So I touch them a lot to soothe myself. Significant others always touch them too because they know how much I like it. Never thought it was weird until I realized nobody else understands the sensation I'm talking about. I would never let somebody touch my wrist. Not on my watch. I pick on the skin around my nails and also the skin on my feet. I was first peeling dead skin and now I can't stop peeling skin off my feet or hands. Same. In extreme conditions it's called dermatillomania. I constantly pick at the skin around my fingers and toes. I pick at scabs. I pop pimples. I dig up ingrown hairs. Bite skin off my lips and inside my cheeks. I stir every drink before I drink it. BC the ice melting at the top freaks me out. You having ice in every drink might also be an odd habit. Someone will say something to me like at the end of a work shift and I won't respond until the next time I see them, and then they've forgotten about the comment they said just because it took me a few hours to process what they meant. For example, co-worker and I were talking about the gym and I said, yeah, you're just as thin, and she replied, no. I need to be distracted while eating. If I don't look at my phone or PC screen, even when really hungry, I will be unable to finish even a small amount of food I have on my plate because I will feel full and then get hungry again after 5 minutes. While distracted, I eat slowly, in my own pace, and then don't get hungry again for hours. I noticed it at my aunt's place once when dad told me to stop looking at my phone while having dinner. In the end, I ate half of a chicken breast and felt sick. The same way you feel after overeating. I talk to myself. Not just simple words, but full-blown convos. This all started with just simple convos in my head. But after a while it unconsciously evolved to me talking out loud. My mother thinks that I need therapy because she's worried that I'd end up talking to some demon and attempt to kill people. Remembering a lot of details about conversations. I'm jealous. I have a chronic illness that causes wicked brain fog and my memory sucks. I can have a full conversation and walk away with very little recollection of what we talked about. It makes me sad because people think I'm ignoring them or that I don't care. In this topic, people learn they have obsessive compulsive tendencies. Apparently I talk too loud. My hearing is rather poor, so I never really noticed. And most of my clients are seniors, so if anything they're asking me to speak louder. It was only a couple of years ago that a friend mentioned that his partner at the time was scared because of how loud and deep my voice was. My whole life I was unknowingly yelling at friends and strangers. Talking to cats on the street. I look at a cat and just meowed. Like seeing an old friend. Sometimes they meow back and voila. We have a conversation. My friends think I'm weird for meowing at cats, while they talk to their pets in their native tongue. Cats don't speak human language, so why should I talk to them with mine? I wear my belt slightly to the left so the buckle is on my hip instead of in front. Remembering random things people tell me about themselves. I thought I was the only one that would look for the biggest clipping after clipping my nails and bent between my fingers until I saw George Carlin joke about it. The volume on the TV has to be on a multiple of 5. I put water on my toothbrush. Then toothpaste. I talk to my dog and say his replies with a different voice back to me. All the time. Or if someone else talks to him, I will answer the question for him. Me. Who's a good boy? Me in my dog voice. Blowing really hard out my nose when I'm stressed. I only realized people don't do that when I started getting weird looks from classmates. My family talks really loudly. My dad is partially deaf. Some ones I'll subconsciously begin to give commentary to what's going on around me. Blowing my nose in the shower. I love eating spaghetti just with butter. I'm not thinking that's weird anymore, BTW. The Italians have a name for this, spaghetti al burro. Often there's some cheese involved, but not necessarily. Some of them do that too. I sometimes just play a random scene from a movie. Like talking to myself but acting. Don't know when that started. Nail biting. Leg shaking. Spacing out. Looking left and right constantly. My mom pointed it out to me the other day. She explained that those are all anxious habits. Also excessive body cracking. If it can crack, I'll crack it. Also an anxious habit. I eat things separately. For example, I would eat the chicken then the broccoli. I eat slow. I spend like 30 minutes on a bag of crisps. I fold my right ear over backwards while I read and my wife always freaks out about it. It's become such a habit that I don't even realize I'm doing until she points it out to me. I have to wear my socks inside out, otherwise the seam at the toes drives me f***ing crazy. I have restless leg syndrome, but it extends to my hands and feet specifically. I run my fingernails underneath each other constantly and cross-snap my toes. Girlfriend gets annoyed when do dinner movie night and she sees me doing those things. Just constant movement that I never notice until pointed out. Play with my food before eating it. Positioning it the way I want it on the plate. And leaving the best bite for last. When I'm talking about changes I'd like to make to society, I never say if I ruled the world. But instead say when I rule the world. Full stop. I never actually noticed that I did that until my brother pointed it out to me. Standing up to wipe my butt after using the bathroom. I stick my tongue out a little bit when I'm concentrating on things and drawing. I have a tendency to anthropomorphism objects. So if I drop like a cup, I will apologize to it as if I hurt it. Also, I still buy stuffed animals and assign them personalities and backstories. I'm in my 30s. So I'm way too old for this kinda stuff.